everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Track Talk. Today we're talking to Ron Tomlinson. Ron got into racing cars 10 years ago, but grew up racing boats, bikes, and pretty much anything with a motor. He's raced 2 years in the SCCC. He's heading into his third year, one that he's very excited for, as he's going to be sharing the track alongside his daughter Megan. We hope you guys enjoy the episode. Ron's a lot of fun to talk to, and it's a good one. Welcome to Track Talk, Ron Tomlinson.
We'll jump right in. What did you get up to during the off season? Anything fun or competitive or?
Well, we were down at Barber last weekend, racing a little bit of WRL. So
awesome. Has their season started then?
Yeah, that was WRL's second race, right? So we were at Barber, and then I think, well, at least Meg's heading off to Mid Ohio. So
okay, so yeah, because we were talking to Megan about this. She said it was her first time driving the track down there.
Crazy beautiful, like it's a racetrack like you've never seen before. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I was telling Jess when we were on with Megan about all the sculptures and stuff they have alongside it.
She said they were scary.
Some of them were a little weird for sure.
Have you driven a lot of tracks down south, or is that your first time at Barber?
Well, first time at Barber, but typically we'd hit a pile of the East Coast tracks for sure.
Yeah, like the Glen, Lime Rock, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, VIR, Road Atlanta, Road America, Daytona.
How long have you been doing that for, Ron?
Bet you it's close to 10 years.
Yeah, you guys did an IMSA race down there last year, right?
We did a couple of IMSA races last year, but we've been doing IMSA races for the last probably 3 or 4 years.
You mentioned Daytona there. Were you part of the effort that TWOth ran at the historic 24 in the TCR car?
We ran, Travis and I ran the Michelin race before the Rolex 24-hour, just before COVID. And we were supposed to run again, and then COVID hit, so we never actually got back down there again during COVID.
Okay, cool. So actual pilot challenge.
Yeah.
That series, nice.
What do you do during the off season to keep yourself sharp?
Oh, I'm not getting any sharper. Each year it gets a little duller for sure.
What about like sim? Do you do any sim or like physical training or anything like that?
Well, there's a sim sitting there. I often look at it. So for Barber, I might have got in it for half an hour or something because I hadn't learned the track before. But I honestly look at it and say, yeah, I'm going to go do something else. I have great intentions and I just don't do it.
Well, you've raced at least the Canadian tracks enough times that you don't necessarily need it.
Well, I'm familiar with the tracks, but you can tell the guys that are on the sims and practicing a little bit more that they are honing their skills. But I'm the guy that just shows up at the track, jumps in the car and drives it, and whatever happens kind of.
What about, when you're preparing for a race, do you have any sort of, maybe not ritual or, saying, but just something that helps you like get into a pre-competition mindset?
Yeah, I make sure I go for a pee.
That's a good one.
It calms down.
I'm there to blow off steam. So, what racing does for me is it basically lets me focus on one thing, high intensity, one thing for a period of time when we're in the race car. And I get out of the race car and I forget about work. Right. So I use it as a tool. This is just a stress reliever for day-to-day work. And so I leave the race weekends happy and get back into the office and everybody's not so walking on eggshells, worried about what I'm going to do. So.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I've never thought about it that way because a few of the guys that we've talked to now, they're obviously, in the improvement mindset where they're each weekend they're trying to get better, beat their own score. And like, not that you're not doing that, but I think for you, like you said, it's more of like blowing off steam, getting that like adrenaline, that you don't get in your day-to-day at the office.
Yeah, and being able to focus on one thing just clears your head. Like some people will meditate, others will yoga or whatever it is. My brain doesn't work that way. I need to totally focus on one thing and it just clears it out and then I'm good.
So Ron, if you could race in any motorsports era, what would it be and what type of car or series would you be driving in?
You know what? I don't focus on any of that stuff. Like I said earlier, I'm just there to drive and have fun. So it's not, do I start watching some motorsport racing now to get engaged with it? Yeah, sure. But, I grew up driving almost everything, got into racing boats with my dad. And then that got, when we started running over 200 miles an hour on the water, that got way too dangerous.
Yeah.
For
Holy.
me. So then I got off and started running some bikes with some guys, and then it was pretty obvious that I was really going to hurt myself with that, and pivoted, right? So,
Yeah.
and just
Wow.
just a gearhead in general. So it doesn't matter what I'm driving or where I'm driving, as long as I'm doing it and doing it real fast, I'm okay.
Yeah. I've that's really cool racing boats. I've never really talked to anyone about that. Did you ever find there was anything that you learned from that experience that you're able to transition into cars? Because I know they're completely different, but maybe like the racing mindset or anything like that.
Well, when we're running boats, you're basically trying to fly the boat. So you're skipping along the top of the water, trying to get it as loose as you can, right? So it gives you that seat of the ass feeling, So whenever so the way I look at it is almost anything that I get in and drive, it's all by the seat of the ass, and you get those emotions that come up through your body that kind of tell you how to react to the driving. The bad part of that is that when you get on the track and you're pushing the car real far, the car's got a little bit more, but your ass is telling you, hey, don't do that. This is stupid.
Well, I'm just curious because so I grew up in Bermuda, and they have a ton of speedboat races every year. They do one like around the entire island and stuff like that. So did you like, where were you racing? Was that here? I know you guys are from the Ottawa area, but
So yeah, so we do a bunch of poker runs and stuff up around here, but then we've gone down and set two world records in Lake of the Ozarks. So they basically set up a 1 mile course, and your top speed at the end of the 1 mile course sets the world record, right?
What was the top speed?
So the first time was 208, and the second time was 224 miles an hour.
wow. That's something that they build on every year then, because every year a new record essentially is set, right?
Yeah, kind of. Depends on who shows up and who goes and does it, but the records, typically when someone sets a big jump, then they hold for a while, and then someone tries something different to break those records for sure.
How about, do you want to dive into your relationship with TWOth a bit? Because I know you've been with them for a while and they're trackside with you, whether in the US or Canada. How'd that relationship start, and kind of maybe talk about how they help you out at the track nowadays?
Well, I guess the relationship really started out by at the very first, Travis came in looking for sponsorship for he was going to go run a race. And basically I said, if I'm going to sponsor somebody to go racing, I'm going to go do it myself. Then ran into him again back up at Calabogie, and we were on motorcycles. That pivoted to, okay, they're up there with cars, and I decided I was going to build a race car. So spent a winter in my garage, kind of building a race car, and then got up to the track, and it was like, okay, now what the hell do I do? So those guys were there, kind of befriended them, and it just started off from there. Went and bought a GT3 Cup car, and they helped me crew it for the couple of races that we did, and then that was at a point where it was like, okay, those guys that are running Cup cars are spending a lot of time practicing and getting ready, getting set up, going to the races, and it was like, yeah, I don't have time for that. I just got to show up. I got to be able to just show up on the weekend and drive something, and then go off, and then started doing champ car races with them and running all over North America with TWOth for champ car races, and then just keeps climbing from there. And one day they put me in the Audi TCR car, and it was like, got out of it with a big smile on my face. As well, that's fun. We got to do that now. So
I'm curious about this. I don't know if I've asked you this before. Do you watch any other sports, or are you just like a strictly, I just like to go out and race?
yeah, if it doesn't have a motor, I don't have any interest in watching it at all. And typically, no, I wouldn't watch sports.
So this is what we call a hot lap section. So it's kind of rapid fire Q&A. Some answers you can dive into a bit more if you want. Me and Jess might ask about them, but for the most part, try to just run through them as quick as you can. So if you're ready, I'll start firing some off.
Yeah, sure.
So first one, do you prefer the wet or the dry?
No, well, that depends on the car. It depends on the track. Depends on the series. We got in the WRL last weekend, and the practice day was all rain. Well, you get down there with an Audi against GT4 cars in the rain, and the Audi's the perfect car to be running in the rain down there against them, right? So of course, it was only practice, but we were turning good lap times compared to the GT4 cars because they can't get the power down. Now, let's say we're going to Honda Indy and it's pouring rain. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too fun.
No, I'd lose my balls on that one.
How about, do you prefer street circuits or normal road courses?
I would have said normal road courses, but after doing Indy last year and the car not running good, and then on Sunday morning getting in the car when it was working really, really well, I picked it up and I was enjoying it. Now, ultimately, everybody crashed and it was a great big mess, but up till then, it was, so it all, I think once you get a little bit of comfort running beside the concrete walls, the fear factor kind of went away. So, and then it's fun because then you're in the middle of a city, then there's spectators, then there's hype, and so it makes the whole event fun.
What's most important to you, corner entry, apex, or exit?
Wow, I struggle with entry. I always overbrake. So,
Have you thought about that much? Like, do you know why, or is that just something that is like a natural instinct?
yeah, I think it's just a natural reaction that I overbrake going into it, and then it's too late. You've already lost the speed, and then you're trying to catch up again. So
Yeah, lose that momentum. What's a bucket list track to drive that you haven't already?
I guess the only one that I really would have is getting out to California and trying the tracks out there, right? So most of not most, but a good chunk of the other tracks we've been on. But when the team's gone way west, I haven't been able to go. So get Laguna Seca or getting out to something out there would be interesting, would be different.
How about, what's a bucket list event to attend as a fan?
I think that the one thing that I've been thinking about lately is, if I was going to try to do a bucket list, it would probably try to go to every F1. So instead of just one individual one, is how do you manage to go to every F1 race?
That would be awesome. Let's figure that out logistically and plan it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Mario Kart character to play?
Can't say I've ever played the game.
Oh, goodness. We're going to have to change that. I'm bringing my Nintendo Switch to the track.
I got a backup question. So, do you prefer passing on the inside or hanging one around the outside?
Well, that I'll just, wherever there's room. I'm not opposed to going either way.
We've been asking everybody who's the most influential person in their life, but for you, if you want to kind of address it more of like a support, or because I know work is one of the most important things to you and what you do. You have few very successful companies, right? So what would you say is the most influential or the biggest support to you?
The biggest person influentially in my life has really been my father, right? So I grew up in the business underneath him. We grew up running boats together. He's kind of taught me the majority of the ways to get me to where I am today. The other person that was pretty influential was my dad's brother, because they were both in the business together at one point, and I spent a lot of time working with him as well, right? So what one didn't give me, the other one taught me. So those are kind of the two people that really have kind of shaped my life going forward.
What is your significant other's opinion on you racing cars?
Well, it's kind of like my opinion on her favorite sport, golf. She hates it.
We know you hate golf.
She's okay with it. Like you guys know, Megan is starting into the series this year. My other daughter, Grace, is going to run the Miata Challenge at Calabogie this year. So now she has all three of us looking to get into motorsports. So it's not her thing. She's been up to the track and tried it, but
I see her there every weekend though. Like she supports you guys and.
Oh yeah, for sure. Plus Megan needs someone to look after her dog, right? So
/ horse.
yeah.
Low-key.
She's okay with it. I don't think she likes it. It's it's a little nerve-wracking for her when we're out on the track, but all in all, she sees the value that we're getting out of it and supports it pretty strongly.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your relationship with Megan and how it's kind of developed for as she's gotten more involved with racing.
We got the girls out to the racetrack early when Megan was first getting her license and Grace was 14, just to give them the basics of car control and understanding and vision and braking, and I think that kind of got them into it. Then they went off to university and kind of did their own things for a while, and then all of a sudden Megan picked up the bug and wanted to do it. She's very determined and very driven to achieve things, and with a good coach she'll get there. I can't be the coach.
Yeah, she already told us. She was like, I just try and block out most of the stuff my dad says.
Exactly.
No,
on every aspect, not just racing.
That's okay. That's normal.
You guys got to co-drive an endurance race last year, right? At the celebration event, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we did.
How was that? Must have been pretty special.
It was, and I wasn't until I got to the track and started really thinking about it that I realized that it was something special. And then TWOth did that video series and kind of put the whole thing together, and then I turned around and watched it, and it literally brought tears to my eyes, realizing how important and how much fun that was and the engagement that we had for that weekend, and it was pretty neat.
That's awesome. Would you say you're going to be a little bit protective over her this year, or you're going to try and stay out of it?
I guess that depends on how the year goes. No, she's more than capable of looking after herself, right? So she'll be fine.
Yeah, she's got a lot of experience in Miatas now, though.
Yeah, but where for me it was, oh yeah, we're going to go racing. Well, we need something with lots of horsepower and go out and try to drive. Well, in reality, you get in those Miatas or something that's more momentum, you get way more skill level than you do getting it with something with big horsepower, right? So. All
right, what are you looking the most forward to this year in 2023 for the season?
I'm looking forward to running the season with May, right? That first and most. As a personal goal, that's twice now that I've come in third in the Canadian Series, and be nice to do a little bit better than that.
All right.
Yeah, but realizing that we're up against a bunch of young bucks typically too, right? So
what do you think has been your biggest challenge so far?
Biggest challenge is finding the time, right? Is actually just finding the time to get out of work, get down to wherever we're going, get back in a reasonable amount of time, and that's the biggest challenge.
How about from a driving perspective? Any quirks or any small details you're really focused on dialing in?
Yeah, I need to focus on carrying that speed into the corner. I need to focus on getting on the sim, which I don't do, and focus on paying attention to some of that data, which is pretty simple things to do, but we're just there to have some fun on the weekends and enjoy it. And what the outcome is the outcome, which is probably a bad way to look at it because you always want to win, but that's not really what we're there for.
How about, can you describe your proudest moment in racing thus far?
Well, I still go back to that 3-hour race that Meg and I did together, right? It's got to be the proudest part of it.
So you've got some more proud moments to come then.
I think so, yeah.
With Grace getting in a car too.
Any aspirations for the two of you guys to co-drive one of the bigger events, maybe like the Michelin Pilot Series, anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, so Meg tried to run or ran a bunch of SPC last year. And the car that she had, we had some problems with, so she kind of lost a bit of the season last year. Because we were kind of hoping that she was going to be in a TCR, running the TCR this year. But we'll run her in TCA this year, hopefully TCR next year, and then do a bunch of practicing in TCR. And then once she's up to speed in that, then yeah, we'll go see what else we can chase.
That'll be awesome. I'll be rooting for her for sure. Would you have any sort of advice? Now, normally I ask, to give younger drivers coming up. But I think for you, I'm going to say, would you have any advice to give to anybody else who's maybe lacking the time, is a little bit busy with work, and, wants to get out there just to kind of the same thing that you're doing, like clear your head, get out on track and forget about everything else?
Yeah, I think the only advice is go do it, right? It's easy to say, life's short, but you got to go do stuff that you enjoy and have some fun in the midst of it all and try to balance it all. The hard part is balancing that with family and everything else. We got a cottage up on the St. Lawrence, and when you say, oh geez, I only went there 3 times last year, that's not balance either. But I had lots of fun at the racetracks.
Well, hopefully you'll get to make it out a couple more times to the cottage with the family this year.
Well, especially with the new schedule, right? So I think it's going to make it a lot easier to have some additional time to do other things for sure.
So to end it off, we kind of, the floor is yours. Use it as a space to shout out or thank anyone specific, the team, anything you got going on in your life you want to talk about, kind of.
Yeah, this is the one part that I don't like. I guess if I had anything to say, it's give a shout out to my wife and family, because they do put up with a whole lot of travel and racing and spend out of the family budget to go do racing. So I got to thank them for that. And no, the TWOth boys do a great job of trying to have us ready and make sure that we have a good weekend come down each and every time we get together. And they're all more friends than they are just the team behind us, right? So that's the most important part. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Where can people follow you online if they wanted to kind of check out what you're doing this year?
yeah, best to follow Motorsport Megan.
Motorsport Megan, there we go.
and TWOth Autosport.
And TWOth, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you guys reaching out.
I think you'll be the only boat racer we've had on. Thanks, Ron. Good talking to you.
See ya.
Okay, bye.
Still going bad on you anyway. Whoa, 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 whoa. I can feel like 80 rats in my Marys. Me and Drizzy back to